I think the biggest single advantage it's given me is time. It's the perpetual complaint of academics that although they love their teaching, it's very hard to carve out continuous research space, that is the kind of sustained attention that you need in order to develop a major project. The CRC has given me a reduced teaching load, and that has enabled me to initiate a much larger project than I would have been able to do otherwise. The second advantage that I think it's given me has been a more integrated access to research funding. Because of the tie between the Canada Research Chairs and the Canada Foundation for Innovation, and because of the relationship between certain SSHRC programs, such as the postdoctoral program, I believe that this chair has facilitated the connection between my research and the training of advanced researchers and the funding for infrastructure. I work on Indigenous heritage, specifically visual culture and art, and of the Great Lakes region in Canada. My biggest project in my first phase of Canada Research Chair activity was the development of a large interdisciplinary database, which has two goals. One is the digital repatriation of heritage materials to Indigenous communities and the provision of access to them by researchers in universities and museums all around the world. The second goal of this project has been the development of new multivocal understandings of these heritage items, that is, understandings articulated from the perspectives of Indigenous communities as well as academically trained scholars in museums and universities. The Canada Research Chair has allowed me to develop a much larger project than I would have otherwise been able to do, and one that has the capability of reaching constituencies in multiple sectors interested in the same research. We believe this has great benefits for building stronger Indigenous identities, and that has an impact on health, as the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples report stated very clearly. It also has made available a resource for education at all levels, including public school education. I've spent many decades now building networks of colleagues around the world in the institutions that I work in, universities, museums, Aboriginal communities, and developing my own bank of materials that I have found in unpublished places, in museum collections, etc. This chair is enabling me to pass on this this corpus of knowledge that I've developed to a new generation of researchers. And it's also allowed me to help them find networks much more quickly than they would otherwise have done. My doctoral and postdoctoral students have traveled with me and my colleagues to museums and institutions in Europe and the United States that they would not have been able to get to otherwise. This has fostered their own doctoral research projects and postdoctoral projects. But I think more importantly to me, it's given me a sense that when I retire and when I am no longer engaged in this work to the extent that I am now, what I have done will not simply end up in a file drawer in my basement. It will become, and has already become, integral to the work of a new generation of younger scholars. And it's the scope of the Canada Research Chair project and program that has made that possible.